All right. Welcome everybody to this afternoon's training session for Aspen Discovery. This is kind of like a new skin, a new view for your patron catalog. It's going to make searching easy. It's going to make patrons' usage of your catalog more intuitive and visually appealing. So we have Jesse from Bywater, who will be guiding us through it today. We also have Mark and Addie, who are the ones that have been working in the backgrounds, getting everything set up for us. Michael, Liz, and I from CKLS have been doing some of the personal customizations for your libraries to help with helping Addie and Mark get everything set up. So whenever you're ready, Jesse, take it away.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're excited to show you the interface for Aspen Discovery and just how you'll be able to help your patrons kind of find what they're looking for and some of the great features like e-content integration, Ferberized records, and browsing for material really easy. I will just say I get really excited about some of the things in here, so you'll see me kind of jumping around. I really love as a patron, like the browsing features. I think they are amazing. I was just on my library's website today who uses Evergreen, and I think to myself, I wish that we had Aspen. So I get pretty excited. So we are showing you just one of the examples. We're using the FLE Doctor Library as our example. You'll notice how we have the Pathfinder logo in the upper left-hand corner and multiple ways for our user to log in. They can log in from this login link over here on the right-hand side, which will give them a modal window where they can enter in their library card and their password or PIN. They have the same features like they would in Koha, where they can reset their password or PIN. That will prompt them to enter in their barcode and email address. And then there's also the option to register for a new library card, which of course would give them that screen in the form where they will fill out that information and allow them to register for an online card. If you see either your library's logo or the Pathfinder logo in the upper left-hand corner, that will take you back to the main screen or to that landing page. For the libraries out there, if you have a logo, each one of the individual sites can be customized. If you don't, then you'll see that Pathfinder logo in the upper left-hand corner. The CKLS team will walk you through options for customizing as we go through, and I'll let them kind of talk a little more about that. But I did mention there's another way for them to log in, and you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, underneath the search box, there's also a login button. So either way they find, Aspen gives you multiple ways to do things in here, and you'll be able to see that an easy way for them to log into the system. There's also a really great help feature over here underneath that login, and that's going to just give them a quick link to, again, log into their account or, you know, kind of look at those library hours and locations for their library. Now there is, if you go to pathfinder.catalog.ckls.org, that will take you to the main landing page where you'll see just the main library catalog, and if the library, if a patron gets there first, they will be able to identify their local branch, and we can go through that at another point. So on this landing page, the first thing the user is going to see is, of course, that search box. They're also going to see some quick spotlights. And what this allows them to do is, you know, kind of take a look at some new young adult books. You can see the rotating collection, any new fiction that might be available, some new nonfiction, New York Times bestsellers. And what these do are, it allows you to kind of curate collections that your users can easily look at. So if I click on that New York Times, it will populate lists down below where they can dig in a little bit further. Aspen has an API that will pull in New York Times bestsellers and then look for titles that are available in your collection. So if I hit that hardcover fiction, it will take me into a list of titles that are available in the library. So I can start scrolling through and looking at that list, placing an item on hold, checking it out through Overdrive, or placing a hold on Overdrive if it's available, and you can see those lists right away. So these spotlights are a great way to highlight different collections in your library. And you'll notice there's one for rotating collections. If I click on that, that will actually show me the rotating collection that's available here at the F. Doctor Library. And underneath that, I'm going to have subcategories. So I can even take it a step further if I want to look at the rotating fiction, large print, audiobooks, movies, TVs, and rotating nonfiction. You know, that'll take me in where I can see a little more information. So just a really nice way for you to curate titles in your collection, and then, you know, pass that out to the libraries and your users. Some other nice features for the spotlights too is you can even narrow it down to items that are available now, especially with so many of our users at home. You know, you want to be able to give them access to information as easily as possible. It is really nice because you can just come and kind of browse through. It's almost like, you know, for those of you who are familiar with like Netflix or Hulu, you know, everywhere we go these days, you can easily kind of browse through by covers or images. And this is just one really nice way that your patrons can come in and kind of browse through the collection. It will default to covers. However, you'll notice there's another button over here that allows them to do it by grid. So if they pull that in, that will allow them to kind of do a quick grid look and see that information. So just really nice browsing features. All right, I'm going to come back to this homepage and talk about one other feature that is available for all of your patrons. You'll notice above the login button in the upper right-hand corner, we have a drop-down, and that drop-down menu will allow you to switch between English and Spanish. So if my user would like to switch over, you'll notice as soon as I select that, it will translate the language for me so I can see that information in the system. So just one way, it's using Google Translate to translate that information. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about the search functionality. When the user first arrives here, again, I am on the F. Doctor Library, so I can come in here, begin my search. The default is keyword. However, I can come and either select, maybe I want to do a title search or a series or an author or a subject search. Whatever I choose, I can come in here and begin that. You'll notice that there is also a drop down to do a library catalog search, online collection, or list. So you can actually search by a particular list in there. There's also an advanced search, and I'll come back to that in just a little bit. So I'm going to first start by doing just a quick search in here. I'm looking for Rebecca, who, a little secret, this is my favorite title. My favorite book I ever read. And when I'm scrolling through, I see that it comes up as the number 2 hit. And the reason I want to show this one is I showed Pride and Prejudice at our last training session, but I like to show things that have multiple editions. So now you can really get a feel for what the Ferberization looks like when we're looking at those records in the collection. So what Aspen does is it brings together multiple records that you would have in Koha. So in Koha, we might have, you know, 4 or 5 different records, you know, maybe for a book, an e-audio, an audio, you know, large print, you know, depending on all the different formats that you have. And Aspen brings all of that information together. So right away, I can see that there's two different options. So I can see that this is available as a book, and I can see that it's also available as an ebook. A really nice feature is I can hit that show editions and it will expand where I can view all the different editions that have come out for this title. So again, bringing it all into one location so I can see all that information at once. You'll notice too, when I expand that show edition, I can now come in and place a hold for that particular item. So if I'm looking for something specific, I can easily see that information. If I scroll down a little bit at the bottom of this brief record, I can also see a quick summary, and then I have a couple other links. More info will take me into the detailed view of this record. I can add a review to the particular title, or I can add it to a list. So just like in Koha, your patrons can create lists. They have that same functionality here in Aspen. There's also a social sharing aspect, and that allows them to email or post to Facebook or Pinterest a quick link to the Aspen CKLS catalog. So it's a way for them to just share a link to this particular record. Now the user can also get directly into the detailed view of the record by clicking on the title, and then that will take them in where they can see just a little more information. So now you'll notice if I scroll down a little bit, I can still see that description. If it was part of a series, I'd be able to see series information. I can see similar titles to this particular title that I'm looking for. And as I scroll down, I can see a little more information, like subject headings, which are clickable links that I can explore more with. More details, which will give me a little more information about like ISBNs, if there is accelerated reading information. And then we get the integration with Novelist. So now I can see similar titles from Novelist, and then that'll give me a few suggestions where I can scroll through and take a deeper look at some of those titles, as well as similar authors from Novelist. So again, I can scroll through this list and take a look at any authors in the collection that may be similar to Daphne du Maurier. When I click on reviews from Goodreads, this is a way that it pulls that review right into Aspen Discovery. So, you know, a lot of people use Goodreads to track things that they've read in the collection, and this is a really nice piece of integration that brings those reviews right into the collection. And then as I scroll down just a little bit further, the last thing you'll see here is the staff view, and this will just give your users a little more information about that particular record. So you can see some item details, and if I scroll down a little bit further, you'll see a little bit more information that's coming from that MARC record. So a really nice detailed view of that record that brings all of that enrichment and additional information in. Now, there are some really nice social features that tie into your record. You'll notice that there are stars over here on the left-hand side, 1 to 5 stars. And this allows the user to start rating titles that they've read. And by giving it a 1 to 5 star, Aspen will start giving them recommendations based on what they have reviewed and given stars recommendations. So this is kind of a really nice way for Aspen to like get to know what you like and what you don't like, and then make recommendations based on those ratings that you've given to the collection. So again, really nice integration for your user there. You'll notice at the top that the user can link right back into the search results. So if I want to jump right back to those search results, I can jump right in, and that will take me back to my list. And now that we're scrolling through our list, I would like to point out a couple more things. You'll notice here there's a section that says explore more. So in those results, when I searched for Rebecca, it brought back a few more options for me to explore in the catalog. Explore More will take me out to either lists or other placards that may be applied when I hit my search terms. So I can click on this New York Times children's list, and then that will take me in where Rebecca probably populated in one of these titles in the collection. So it's a nice way to integrate other options into your searches. Now let's talk a little bit about our facets. So let's say our user did not find what they were looking for right away, or they wanted to narrow down by a specific format, or they were looking for a specific author and it was a very generic term. They could use the facets over here on the left-hand side. You'll notice here that they have multiple options, whether it's an accelerated reader reading level where they can come in and enter the from and to values. If it's a specific format that they're looking for, they can come in and select that information. So if I was just looking for, let's say, an ebook, I could narrow down that way, you know, and it'll show you right up top which applied filters have been applied to your search results. If I'm looking for something that's available right now, just at my location, I can even take it a step further and look for those titles. So you have really nice options to drill those facets down in the collection. As I scroll down a little bit further, some that I know personally, like in Koha, we never really got to narrow down by was language. And this right away was really big because I know some of our libraries have large collections, and this is a really nice way for them to narrow down by language as well. They can even look by user ratings. So once people start giving those ratings in the collection, they can look and see what, you know, has 5 stars or 4 stars and see what people really like. So now I'm going to come up and we'll do another search here in the collection. This time I'm going to do Old Yeller. And it went so fast here. I'm going to do it one more time. You'll notice that it gives me a drop down. So it's actually suggesting like a predictive search for titles in the collection. So you'll notice that in this case, it gives me 2, Old Yeller and Old Yeller 2. And it gives me that predictive text. So anytime your user is searching, I'm going to do Busy, Busy Town because we just read that last night. You'll notice that, again, it gives me several options that I can narrow down in the collection. So whether it's an author or a title, you'll see that it gives that predictive text to the user. So again, really nice features there where if they can't remember what the title is, but as they start typing in, they can kind of get that predictive text. It's a nice way for them to easily find what they're looking for. It also has spelling recommendations. So if I'm typing too fast and I misspell a word, or I'm not sure how that author's name is really spelled, Aspen will also correct that spelling for me. So again, nice features built in for your patrons. Another thing that I really like, and again, I'm going to do one with a spelling mistake here because I think this is really, it does do a really nice job. When I come in here, we'll do Harry Potter. You'll see again, it gives me that predictive text, so I can go through and search for, you know, what I'm looking for, and that will bring back a list of results. Now we talked about the facets. The next thing I want to talk about is some of the results that you'll see at the top of the collection. So you'll see here that I have 33 books, 4 ebooks, 2 audiobooks, and 20 movies. And so what that's allowing me to do is if I know I just want to look for a print format, or I just want to look for things that are ebooks that I can quickly read, I can narrow down this way too. So not only do I have my facets over here on the left-hand side, in the center here, I can even take it a step further and look directly for that particular collection. So again, just a nice way to narrow down. You'll notice underneath, there's also a way to narrow it down by your library. So if I'm looking for things just at F. Lee Doctor, I can select that button, and then it'll even take it a step further to narrow down those results. Now, as all of us are sitting at home through the pandemic and, you know, maybe not going out yet, now we want to see things that are available that I don't have to wait for a hold. I have two options here. So available now will tell me what I can check out right away in print, and then I also have one that will let me know what's available online. So, you know, how many times have you gone to look for a title and, you know, there's several people waiting ahead of you? This is an awesome feature that allows you to say, let me see what's just available right now online that I can check out. So as long as your user is logged in, they can begin that checkout process through Overdrive. You'll notice also that it will tell me whether that title is an e-audiobook or an ebook, so they can see right away what those options are. Now that we talked a little bit about just general searching in here, let's take a look at the advanced search. The advanced search allows us to come in and to really kind of narrow down our search. You'll see it pulled in that previous search that I just did in there, so I can see that Harry Potter, and it grabbed those formats that I had in there. Or I can come right back in and start that search all over again. So again, putting in my keyword search, dropping it down and adding different values. So more than just what was available on that first page. You know, if I was looking for a particular year of publication, I do have my and, or not options over here on the right-hand side. And there's even a great little search tips that are built in. So if I click on that help with advanced search, it actually gives you a really detailed view of how to perform a really good advanced search in here. So it tells you how to use your, you know, Boolean connectors. If I search down a little bit further, you can even do search groups for more complex searches. So nice options there. And then you'll notice down below, those filters are going to pull in whatever facets we have available. So there's going to be null values or, you know, options in each one of these drop-down menus, which allows you to come in and select from those drop-downs when you're performing the search. So a great advanced search feature that'll really allow you to kind of narrow down what you're looking for. Okay. I am going to log in now to my account so we can take a look at what the user will see once they log into the collection. Once the user is logged in, they'll be able to see right away a look at their account summary. Over on the left-hand side, they're going to have a menu that'll allow them to drill down a little bit further. So right away in bright red, I can see that I have $5 in fines, and also that my card is going to expire at the end of the month. In the center of the screen, I'll be able to drill down right away and see which titles that I have checked out, and then any that I have on hold. So we'll start by just jumping into those checked out titles. It's going to actually break down titles that I have checked out physically and then anything that I have checked out electronically. So I can see right away the titles that I have checked out in the system. If I have an option to renew it, I can actually come over and renew it over here on the right-hand side. And I also have an option here for you might also like. This is a neat feature that if I click on that, it will bring up other titles in the collection that you may be interested in reading based on the particular title that you have checked out. So from here, the user can, you know, click on more info, and then that will take them into a detailed view of this record where if they're interested, they can of course place a hold on that particular item. So you're going to see this feature in quite a few places, which really gives them the opportunity to explore more, even if what they're looking for is unavailable. So again, in those checkouts, they'll be able to break down between both their physical materials that are checked out, and then also any type of, if they have Hoopla or Overdrive titles that are checked out in the collection, they'll be able to see those as well. Titles on hold. This is going to give us a quick breakdown again. Anything that they have that's checked out, and it'll be broken into two sections. They'll be able to see any holds that are ready for pickup. So I'll be able to see right away that title that I have on hold that's ready. So it's been triggered or trapped and it's waiting at your branch to pick up. And then down below, I have pending holds. That means this hasn't been triggered or trapped yet. It's still waiting to be pulled. And maybe I'm in a higher position on the list, although in these cases, I can see that they are in transit. And a couple things I want to point out over here. So you do have the option to cancel a hold. And since these are in transit, I don't have the option to freeze or just like in Koha, suspend my hold. But if it was, still in that pending status, they would have the option to freeze or suspend it. Now, you will notice that there's this while you wait button. And what that does is that allows you to, again, look at titles that you can check out right now while you're waiting for that hold. So again, just really neat features that, getting as much as your collection in front of your patrons as possible. So this will tell them right away, I have a book or audio or an ebook that you can easily check out right away while you're waiting for that hold to come in. So some really nice features. And Michael, I just noticed, made a comment in the chat. You'll notice that it tells you right away that the library is open until a particular time in there. So that's a really, really nice option. And Mary Beth said that freeze, aka suspend, in Koha we call it suspend, holds if they're going on vacation and don't want to lose their place in line. I mean, that is the perfect example. So it's an easy way to do that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about reading history. Reading history in Amazon gives your user the opportunity to, opt into seeing it or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording mine and kind of start from the beginning to walk you through the whole process. So what this does is this will alert your user if this is the first time that they're logging in, and it talks a little bit about privacy. And what this allows them to do is opt in to look at their reading history. So if I select this blue button, what that will do is that will show me a list of anything that I have checked out in the past or anything that I currently have checked out. And this will be both print and e-content. I know. I wish I could see your faces, because how exciting is that, right? People always ask about that. There I go, getting a little too excited. So again, this is really nice. If they choose to, look at that reading history, it's really nice. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out. If this is a long list, they can filter. So if I was looking for something that, I can remember reading, but I can't remember that exact title, I can filter by that particular phrase or title. I can also come over here and sort it either by title or author. I remember that used to be a huge one for me because people would always come up and ask, Jesse, I read this entire author, but I can't remember if I read this particular one. And so this is a really nice way to kind of look back and see if you read every title by that particular author. They do have options. So let's say I wanted to stop recording my reading history, but I wanted to have that list for myself personally. You can export to Excel, and that will populate a file for you. You'll notice, if you can see the bottom of my screen, it says readinghistory.xls. So then I have a personal copy of that. Now, let's say I decide to stop recording my reading history. I can hit this button. It's going to give me a modal window that tells me, opting out of my reading history will also delete your entire history irreversible. Do I want to proceed or not? and I can move forward with that. I can also hit this delete all. Again, it's going to give me a pop-up telling me that this will delete my entire history. So, the user then has the option to hit OK or cancel. Right below their reading history, they're going to be able to see any of their finds and messages. So right now I have a $5 fee in here for something that I faxed. So I can see that information right away and what I owe. Right below that, I'm going to be able to see titles that I've rated. So Leslie Nope, who is my patron, she has several titles that she's rated, and I've given those 5 stars. So once I start rating things in the collection, Aspen will start giving me recommendations. So right under that titles that you have rated, you'll see that recommended for you. This will actually show me now other titles in the collection, the rest of the season, that I can come in here and start watching. So just a really nice way. Once you rate more and more material, it's going to absolutely give you some suggestions based on that. So really nice way for your users kind of to explore more things in your collection that they may not have, first thought about. You'll also see this recommended for you once I'm logged into my account. If I go back to that main page, I now have a button right on the front here that lets me know things are recommended for me. So they'll be able to see that right away in another location. So just another example of Aspen giving you multiple ways to see things in the collection. All right, let's talk a little bit about that patron empowerment. So things that they can set up for like contact information and messaging settings. So under my account settings, I have my preferences. This is going to essentially show like my language will be displayed to a default of English, and then some other things like my home library where I can update my preferences. The next thing we have is our contact information. So just like in Koha, we could see that information if your user needed to update, let's say, their address or their email or phone number, they'll be able to come in here and see that information and update that contact information directly. They also have their messaging settings. So exactly like it looks for them in Koha, where they can see any of their proactive messages that are being sent out. So like that item due reminder, the advance notice, the notification when their hold's ready for pickup, and then of course those check-in and check-out, either emails or SMSs, whatever they prefer. So again, they'll be able to see that information and update that as well. Now the next one that I'm getting into is a really interesting feature, and this is called linked accounts. So what this allows your user to do is opt in to viewing multiple accounts. So if, let's say, I wanted to pick up titles for my mom because maybe my mom was homebound, but she knew how to place holds on things, I could link her account to my account so I could see that information for her and see that information in the collection. So you'll notice right here it gives you a little blurb that tells you can see all of your information in one place. Once you link accounts, you'll be able to see checkouts, holds in this main account area. So there's a blue button here which allows your user to add an account. So I'm going to come over here and grab my partner's card and pin and add an account. And what this allows me to do now is see that information in one location. So now I can see that Jim H's account has been linked to mine. The individual that's linking the account does need to know that user's library card and password or PIN, so they would have to communicate with that user. You'll notice over here on the left-hand side, under the My Account information, it now jumped to $10. I used to just have a $5 fine and fee, so they can see that information right away. So when I go now to my checked out titles, you'll notice that I have 8. I used to have 6. So I can see right away now that the checked out title is to Jim H. So now not only am I seeing mine, but I can also see my partners there as well. So you can see if something is overdue, it's in red. I can see that information right away. So it'll tell me that it's checked out too. You can also see the fines and messages. So if I come in here, I can see both Leslie and Jim's fines and fees in here. And one thing that I do want to point out, and this came up at our training session on Monday, the reading history is something that not every user can see. So it's only going to be that individual's reading history, not also my partner's. So you're only seeing your reading history and not the other individual's history. So again, just your own, not everybody else's. And that was a great question that came up at the last one. And I'm sorry, I'm just jumping over to chat real quick. I see that Mary Beth asked, does the linked account get a notification that it has been linked to another account? And Mark responded and said, the patron can see that somebody has linked to them within their account. So again, so they'll have a notification letting them know that. Okay. Underneath those linked accounts, you have options for both Hoopla, and once you connect to Overdrive, you'll also have an Overdrive option as well. And so those are going to be things like asking for confirmation before checking out to Hoopla. Essentially, if the user clicks on checkout, it gives them a pop-up window that asks them to confirm it. And then the same thing would happen for Overdrive. Okay, Liz has asked a question. Would the other person be able to unlink their account? Yes, and I'm gonna ask Mark to confirm that, but I believe it is yes.
Yeah, so because the patron, so in order to link, the patron has to have the other person's barcode and PIN number. So in order to stop somebody from seeing your account, what you really need to do is change your PIN. And as soon as you change your PIN, that does stop the sharing. So, or you get a confirmation to say, would you like to allow them to do it? So.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, so underneath those account settings, you do have a search history. So this will show me just what I've searched for in the collection. Now, if there is something that, if there's a particular author that I like, or there's a search that I've done that I know I'll be coming back for, you'll notice there is an option over here on the right-hand side to save a search. And then I can easily come back here, and just by clicking on Rebecca, it will have those limits for me, and that will bring me back to that saved search result. So again, once they're in their account and for that search history, I can always come back to that in the collection and then perform that search. The saved one, I'll move it right to the top, and then I can see any recent ones down below. And the last thing I'll show you here in my account is any type of lists that are in your collection. So what this allows the user to do is either create a new list or edit an existing list. And so now I can come in here and let's say we'll call something camping. And I can add a description, my access, and then I can create that list. And so what that does now is that allows me to come in and essentially create a new list where I can add multiple titles at once. And in Koha, when we're searching for particular titles that we want to add, we can search for it and then add them to a list. With Aspen, we can write the titles in there, and it will look for those particular titles and add them directly into our list. So you can do it by titles or by ISBN. So again, really, really quick, easy way to add some titles into your collection. You can email that list. So the to address would be who you're sending the email to. The from address would be your email or maybe a group email, and then you can put a little message in here that says, here's a curated list I created about camping spots for summer tent camping, because that's what I was doing today on my library card. And you can send it off. You can print your list. You can generate citations. This is a kind of a really neat feature too. So once you have that list curated, you could come in and download in various citations, and that'll generate a citation list that you can download. And then of course, options to sort. So you can do it by date added, titled, or user defined. And then you also have the option to delete list. So what I'm going to do is I'll just grab a couple titles here so we can, so I can show you what that looks like. So I'm just going to hit add to list, and you'll notice that it does give me an option to select the one that I'm looking for or to create a new list. I'll just add one more in there so we can take a look at what that looks like now. So now I'm going to come back to my account, and under my list, we're going to come in here and look at that camping. And there we go. So now you can see you do have options. When I say user defined, you can just drag and drop them into whatever order you want. Okay, so really, really nice options there. Now, one thing about your lists, when your user first logs into their account, there will be an option for them to import lists from Koha. So they'll have a button here that will allow them to import those lists into the system. And maybe because I already did mine, I'm not having the import list there because I noticed the one that I created for Parks and Rec is there. But you will have an option to import your list into this collection. And so that'll grab any list that they have in Koha and bring it over here into their Aspen Discovery account. Okay, I'm going to show a couple other features in here that I think are really outstanding for the user, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A where you can ask whatever questions you want, and we can do more exploring. So Aspen has a feature called Placards, and Placards are a way to highlight certain aspects of your collection that may not get a lot of attention otherwise. Freegal is one that always comes to mind for me. Like when we were at my library, we had Freegal and no one ever knew about it unless they came into the library and saw some of our signs that were hanging up. But I always felt like we were missing the folks that, were remote and really never came into the physical building. So placards are a way to highlight certain things. So the one I'm going to show you today is there's one in there for languages. So if I do a search for language or languages, it will bring back a placard for Mango languages, and it pops right up at the top where I have a link that I can jump right out to Mango languages. It gives me a little blurb letting me know that I need a State Library of Kansas e-card to sign up for Mango languages. So this is a great way to highlight certain things in your collection. So if there's things that you can think of where patrons would do a search and you have a service or a database or a platform that you want to highlight, this is a fantastic way to do it. So it really makes it stand out. Some other things I would like to focus on before we move into Q&A. If you're user wants to do either a series or look at a particular author, you'll notice that, like, we'll use Little Women as an example. So if I come over here and I click on that author, what it'll do is it'll bring back anything else by Louisa May Alcott. So now I can see any other titles in the collection. And I have a little brief description of Louisa May Alcott, and that's pulling from Wikipedia, so I can see that information right up top. And as I scroll through, I can see any other titles that I have in the collection that pertain to her. So again, just a really great way to do an author search. It gives them a little introduction of the author and then any other titles in there. I'm going to do Harry Potter too, because I really like the way it displays in the collection. So let me go back to the beginning here. I was still an author there. Harry Potter. Okay, here we go. So now let's say I jump in here and I'm scrolling through. I can see Harry Potter, book 1, and you'll notice that the books come to the top right away. So I can see book 1, book 2, book 3, and so on. And I can even take it a further and drill down by series. So if I wanted to look at the entire series, I can come in here and it will bring down the 7 titles. So now I can see that information all in one location. So I can see my books, my audiobooks, ebooks, and e-audiobooks, all in one record. So this gives me an opportunity to talk about another feature of the record grouping. Titles are grouped together, and you can see the formats for books, large print, e-audio, ebook, audio. I've seen some libraries do like playaway. So whatever that item type is for those particular formats, so like any e-resource and or print related topic, those will be in one record grouping. You'll have a separate record grouping for like DVDs and Blu-rays. So I always say media, but I guess I should, like visual media will be in a separate record. So all of those records will be grouped together in one. So like book, audiobook, ebook, e-audio, and then you'll have a separate one for DVD and Blu-ray. So as we scroll through, again, when they're looking at that series information, they go in numeric order where I can see that information. And really, if a student or even an adult are coming to read this for the first time, they can easily scroll through and look at that information and see all of that series information in one location. Okay. Jan, what about the same title with different ISBNs? So yeah, they would still be grouped together, but you can see those broken out. So like when I did Rebecca earlier, or Old Yeller should be the same way. So you'll be able to see, I'll do that real quick. Show edition, and then you can see those multiple editions there for a particular title. So those will still be all grouped together too. Yes, and series is listed in book order. I mean, that is...
That's very cool.
Very cool.
And I wanted to clarify a point here. When Aspen is grouping all those books together, it's not changing anything on the staff side of Koha. All your records are just as you made them. We're just making it easy so that all the PBs and the HBs and the soft covers and the trades and the books are all coming together, so it's easier for your patron to find what they're looking for, and they don't have to sort through 20 different versions of Little Women to find one that they're looking for. They're all grouped together, and then when they do the show editions, then if they want a specific edition, they can place a hold on that one, or they can just place a hold on all books and get the next book in the line that would fill it.
Yep.
And that works the same with movies, with all those kind of similar things that you need it separated out on the staff side, but the patrons don't need it separated out like that. So that's really cool. I wanted to also share with you guys how you can find your library's catalog. So I'm going to put in the chat there the link to the interface, but it's your town it's your town name. I don't think it let me do it. Let me try again. There you go. It's yourtownname.catalog.ckls.org. And that's going to take you to your library specific catalog. Michael, Liz, and I at CKLS have been working to set up the customized settings for our first customization. Once you get set up and you can really see the features, we can customize it more for your library. So as you can see here with the list of all the libraries available, you can change the color scheme. We can change the logo in the top left corner to your library's logo or your library's image like we use in Library Aware. So we can really customize it for you. We can also customize those browse categories to what you want to show up there. We can also show you how to make your own browse categories if you want to make one for holiday books and you just need it for the Christmas season. We can help you make those as well. The placards where we had Mango show up, you can also make placards for stuff that's important to your community. If you had a local history collection that you wanted to feature, you could make a placard for that. So there's lots of features in here that you can customize for your library. There was a question early up in the chat, when you log in, can you automatically default to search just your collection? And there's a setting I believe that we can click on for your library so that when you log in, it searches your collection first for the results. There's also those tabs. So if it does a full search, you can go tab through to see what's at your library. You can look at the facets and we can, I think we can customize those facets to what you want it to show as well. So there's lots of things in here that you can customize for your library. And that's why we were so excited about this feature, is because ever since we started this consortial catalog, there's been settings that our libraries wanted for their library, but it was a system-wide or nothing kind of setting. So this is one way that we can customize it to suit your patrons' needs in your community. What else? Can't remember what else I was gonna say. What other questions are there out there for us about this? As I remembered, we are planning our go live date on June 18th, but you can go to those, go to your library's catalog now and play around with it. To log in, you need your username and your password that you use to log into Koha now. It's the same username and password. So if you go to, I see Claflin, so if you go to claflin.catalog.ckls.org and log in with your username and password, Pam, you'll be able to get in and play around. And I think you'll really enjoy it.
And this is a responsive site. So if you open it up on your mobile device or your phone, you will be able to log in the same way. It will configure to your phone. So if I pull it up here on my mobile device, I'll be able to scroll through, place things on hold, view content right away, switch over to my Libby app and then read it on my phone. You'll be able to easily do that. So it displays really nice.
Awesome.
And for schools, you do USD 224 dot catalog or dot CKLS, no, dot catalog.ckls.org. Sorry. But that's how you would go for the school's catalog.
And schools, there are some ways to customize yours a little bit more to your needs. So there's some ways to customize for schools. So in the future, like in the next few weeks or whatever, give us a call and we can work with you to customize it to the way you want. And then I see Jesse showing us right now the question about what is generate citation.
Yep, especially for school students, if they've come on here, or college students. So I'll back up. I have my camping list here. I'm going to come over to generate citations. I have a drop down for which format I want to select. So if I select APA and then generate citation, this will give me the citation here where I can come and either copy it and then paste it into my document or whatever I'm working in.
Can you explain
So Michael asked, can you explain what Ferber is? So Ferber is Ferberization of a record or grouping records together. So it's grouping by multiple formats. And I think I might have, I muted somebody, so I'm sorry in advance if you're trying to talk. It's grouping together those records, and I'll let Mark explain a little bit further, like the magic that happens on the back end, but it's grouping together those multiple formats. So rather than seeing like 7 different records for Busy Town by Richard Scarry, maybe I only see that one, and it's grouping all of those together. And Mark put in the chat, functional requirements for bibliographic records.
Yeah. And we're doing that largely based off title and author information as well as the format, just because that's been what the most reliable way of doing it has been, based off actual cataloging practices. So we looked at using ISBNs and UPCs, but they're cataloged really inconsistently, and there's not a great source of what all the different editions of a book might have based off ISBN. So it works really well with your cataloging. And yeah, like Jesse said, the goal is to get all of the different formats grouped together so that patrons can easily see all the different ways they can check out our titles.
I had another question too. So about the ratings, when you rate a item, you mentioned that the ratings on an item will show up publicly. Does that happen after the one person rates an item, or does it take a certain number of ratings before the rating shows up to other users?
Yeah, as soon as one rating, or as soon as one user rates it, that rating will be used. And it takes a couple of minutes for the index to update, but within 5 minutes or so, that rating is shown. So, and then it gets averaged out as more and more people rate.
Mary Beth, this is Marian Lincoln.
Yes, Mary.
I got a question on placing holds.
Okay.
We kind of ask our patrons and have shown them how on the old way to place a hold on a specific item if we have it here in our library.
Okay.
Is that still possible? I've
Yes,
noticed
you can
when it's
still. Sorry, go ahead.
well, I've noticed when it shows our items, it shows our items as on shelf, but there's no place for the on shelf items to place a hold.
Okay. Mark.
Yeah, so there where Jesse's got it on, so we would select the place hold on. So instead of the first available item, we'd select specific item, and then they could select which specific item they want to place the hold on.
Okay.
And we can control that based off item type. So.
Okay. So it's different than it was before, but yes, there's still a way to do item specific hold even if it's on the shelf.
Okay, so this screen pulls up after you hit click the place hold button.
Correct.
Oh,
Yes.
great, thank you.
Good question. Thank you.
And the goal for us is to have all the different resources combined into one. You know, we don't have Hoopla yet. That's something we're working on. So that will be, I believe, sometime in July that we'll get Hoopla coordinated in here. And we're working on getting some of the state library resources as well, such as RB Digital and Cloud Library integrated.
This is Marian Lincoln again. I had one more question. I've noticed that quite of the books don't have cover art for them. Will that be something that'll be continually added? Where it shows the picture, the front cover of the book?
Where it has that placeholder with the geometric designs on it. Yes, we are working on getting that updated as much as we can. It's all connected with how the record is set up, so there's some cleanup to do. I know that Addie has been doing some of that work, and I don't know if you have any more to speak to that, Addie, or?
That we enabled some connections that pulls the covers from 2 different sources. So yeah, I mean, a lot of them are pulling over. I don't know what plans we have for the rest of them.
Okay, so that's something Mike, Liz, and we can discuss at our next meeting on Wednesday. We've been meeting weekly, and see if there's a way we can kind of clean up a few more of these records so that they display those covers a little easier.
One thing that's really cool is that for a lot of our movies and DVDs, we didn't have any cover art, but you can see that there's we've got a connection to IMDb, the Internet Movie Database now, and so a lot of the DVDs and movies have cover art now, which is really cool.
Really?
I remember what you're talking about now. I had entirely forgotten. Yes, we are working on getting those local images that y'all have pulled over. So if there's local images that y'all uploaded to Koha, we think we found a script that will properly pull them over. So we're going to try to do that as soon as we can.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's also a way to upload those through Aspen as well. So
yeah, so once you kind of get a feel for Aspen and see that there's records that don't have the picture you want on there, we can help you get the cover image that you want on there as well. Good question, Mary. Thank you.
While we're waiting for some more questions to come in, I'll just, preach, go in and practice and play with it and, do some different searches, place things on hold, like really get comfortable with it, explore the browse features, look at some records that will have lots of additions so you can kind of see how things are getting grouped together, and really get yourself, familiar with it. I'm telling you, you can get sucked in here for a long time. I remember when Mark first joined us, I was in here for like hours just playing because I was like so excited about it.
This is Gail. One of the things I would add is, and this is a Circ Desk recommendation, is that you have the staff side of Koha open in one browser tab, and in another tab you've got Aspen there, and that way then you can see what the patrons see, and then you'll be better at explaining it to them. But there are going to be features in here that you don't get through Koha that you're really going to like and you're going to want. At the last webinar, somebody asked if there was a possibility of getting Aspen for the staff side because they were so excited about it already. And that's not in the works, but that's the workaround, is to have 2 browser tabs open.
Okay, I hope everybody can kind of see all the potential for this one. We at CKLS are very excited. We think it fixes a lot of the ills that we've had with the old catalog. It gives you a little bit more control to customize it the way you want, and we'll work with you on that to help you get that. And I think really those browsing categories at the top is really going to help you feature your collection in a way that you've never been able to do before. So I think that's awesome. Is there an app for this, or is this browser based? It's a question.
Yeah, browser based for now.
Okay, so Connie, you'll need to open your browser on your phone and go to it from that web address on your phone. Okay. We did record this session, so we will have it posted as well as the one from Monday. They are slightly different, so if you want to watch both of them, you can. If you watch the archive, don't forget to submit the form telling us you watched the archive. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We will be happy to work with you to get those customized the way you want it to look for your library. So start playing around with it. Start thinking about what you want your page to look like. We did pick out a few color swatches to kind of limit what you could do just to ease everything for everybody. But if you have specific colors, we can work with you to get those the way you want them to look as well. I think, Mary, the patrons will like it too. I think once we can get all our resources connected the way we want, they're going to like it too. And I think they're going to be able to do a lot more searching. So either they can come to you with more focused requests, or they'll be able to place more holds on their own, and then get the materials they're really looking for, which I think is awesome. It gives them a lot more control over their own patron account, which I think is great as well. Focused requests, exactly. All right.
Okay.
I think that's question. Oh, here's one more. Will there be a tutorial link that we can direct our patrons to? I think, yeah, we will get some basic ones like we've had before for how to log into the catalog. We also think it's pretty intuitive, so they should be able to figure out a lot on their own. But we'll make a few basic videos, unless there's some already out there. We might link to those. But we'll make sure that there's some. Yeah.
Am I unmuted? Okay. Yeah. There's an Aspen Discovery playlist. I'll send that to you. We're just starting
Introducing Aspen from Bywater.
Sorry. We're just starting to build our collection like we do with Koha. So
excellent.
You'll see more and more, but I'll send you this link. That way, if there's any that you can use, you can link out to those.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yep.
I like not having to reinvent the wheel. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. If there aren't any other questions, I think we will end it for the day. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And we're here when you have questions. And if we don't know, we're going to send it on to Jesse, Mark, and Hattie. So
thanks again, Aspen team.
Thank you, Aspen team. Thank you.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.